Mathematics and finance have always been intertwined with each other. Finance has arisen from the nature of mathematics. But there's a certain area of mathematics that actually is used to decide how money is divvied up. But who decides this? Really, it's you. Good morning. My name is Nathan Toro, and today I'll be discussing the question: to what extent can game theory be utilized to allocate resources in the modern American business workplace? For the terms of this, a resource is considered anything from the range of monetary resources to human resources and management. So game theory was first coined by John von Neumann in 1944 as a strategy of weighing decisions and getting their outcomes. There are two types of games that he categorized: competitive and cooperative. A competitive game is a party versus party game, which means that it can be either one person versus another person or multiple people against each other. And there's always either a winner or a loser or both. And each player has an independent strategy and does not know what the other player's strategies are. I'll now be focusing on competitive game theory in this presentation because this actually deals more with the commercial and marketplace rather than the business workplace. But I'll be focusing on the cooperative games, which is party with party, meaning that teams work together, people work together, and the rewards are then divvied up based on the work that each person does, which is called their margin of contribution. So a cooperative game is defined by these four rules. The contribution, the marginal contribution of each player is defined by what is gained or lost by removing them from the game. If two parties happen to bring the same exact amount to the effort, then they must be rewarded equally and must bring the same exact amount. Dummy parties, which is any party that does not contribute anything to the effort, has a zero value and should be rewarded with zero. And if a game has multiple parts, then the game should be divvied up among each individual part. So let's say you have a main game and then you have 3 sub-games. You have to do the main game and then you divvy up the amounts among those 3 sub-games. So this is what a typical strategy for game theory looks like. And it may look complex, but it really is simple when you get down to it. It's each person has a rate, and each party has a rate of work. So the marginal contribution of each person to the coalition is how much is gained or lost by removing them from the coalition. So if the party can do a rate of 40 items in an hour, but without them they can only do 20, then that means that person has a marginal contribution of 20. Now, what you do with this number is you get the person's Shapley value, which is basically the average of what they independently contribute to the party and their marginal contribution. And considering that person A had less rate than person B, person A is awarded less than person B. But to actually get the reward, you have to use the profit margin, which is the Shapley value of the player divided by the rate of the entire party. And as you can see, player A has less of a profit margin than player B. And in this system, player A has a profit of 15 and player B has a profit of 25. Now there is a big problem with this entire system in the workplace. And it may go completely unnoticed. It's rule number 3, that dummy parties have zero value. Now this doesn't seem like a big deal until you really get down to what a dummy party is. A dummy party is anybody who doesn't work for a specific amount of time, which means that it's anybody on maternity or paternity leave, somebody who gets an injury at work, or somebody who's on a paid vacation. Sabbatical is not covered in this because sabbatical is for the improvement of the work experience, which means they are contributing to the work itself. So what? You have these dummy players. The fact is that they're getting paid for doing nothing at the time that they're off. And it can have a very, very big effect on the actual profit of the company. See, these are some of the paid time off plans that employees are given. And they go into the no specific plan category, which is 80% of the workforce. There's vacation, sick, and personal. Maternity and paternity leave can fall under either personal or no plan. It depends on how long their leave actually is. And the percent that is actually lost by the company due to the fact that they are being paid while they're not working is given by the graph on the right from the Society for the Human Resource Management. And for each plan, there's a specific amount that the worker is being paid after the total income that is being paid for them not doing any work. And if you were to sum up the amount of 4 different players that had paid time off, and you were to average out the actual percentages of them, then you get a 3% cumulative percent loss by the company. And 3% 3% doesn't seem like that much until you realize that 3% of $1 million is still $30,000, and $1 million is a small amount for a company to make. So 3% of $1 billion is $30 million, which is a huge loss for the company just based on the fact that people are getting paid for taking days off. So my solution to this is following the same structure as part-time work. And full-time work, you still get the contribution based on the gain or loss from removal, and you still get this in part-time work. The equal work, equal pay rules, rule number 2, doesn't apply to either of these because of, as Richard Nixon actually puts it, the investment in new technology increases productivity. But technology doesn't need to be paid. So if they're doing the same work as a human, but they don't need to be paid, where does this money go? So neither of these strategies ever actually can amount to how to solve that problem. And currently no strategies have been applied to solve this other than random payment. And the full-time work, the no work, no pay, as I discussed earlier with the zero value dummies, that strategy fails. But in part-time work, you're paid based on how much you work, you're paid per hour. And game decomposition, it works in any type of game or system in the workplace. What questions do you have?
Well, 1 sec, sorry. All right, 2 questions I have for you. Was there evidence that you gathered that you didn't use, and then why didn't you use it?
That's actually a really good question. I was planning for this one. I had an interview with my boss about the way that they actually divvy up pay among the part-time and full-time workers, but I ended up not using it because first, it was a lot of information that was repeated from the articles they had gathered, and second, because the quality of the reporting was really bad.
All right, and next question. If you had more time, what additional research would you conduct on this issue?
I would research more on more effective ways of paid time off, which could be something like if you're on maternity or paternity leave, or if you have an injury, that's a big problem that you can't actually work. But if you're on paid vacation, you're intentionally taking time off, which you shouldn't be paid for that necessarily. But paid vacations can include anything like national holidays, which everybody is paid for. So if I had more time, I'd investigate more on the better alternatives to the dummy players having zero value, to more equalize them to better than zero value and the value getting paid to get it so that